it's going to go because into this.
Okay, actually, Clarus, do you have a dark horse that you're looking at?
I mean, it's kind of up and down. I guess I would have to pick a team like Morph. They come from a great region. I did expect other teams to qualify from that region, like RRQ, for example. But they showed that they're able to have teams there. So maybe they can make something happen in this lobby, even though I'm favoring the big dogs overall.
Okay, yeah. And considering, again, we have 18 matches, right? And you're talking about like getting accustomed to the lobbies, you don't have time. And we have actually seen, like you mentioned before, a lot of coaches come in, a lot of really well-known coaches, some maybe on Nova X Quest F, the ones who have been able to take home PUBG. Like, how much can a coach realistically offer you when you only had, I guess, maybe a little bit of lead up into the event, but you only have 3 days of play? It's really hard to make drastic changes to how the lobbies play out.
I mean, in terms of gameplay, of course, you've got a lot of research and work that's been done in the background. I think it's mostly getting the players and the teams in the mentality, because a lot of the coaches that have been picked up by these teams have that land experience. They know how it works out. They know how the teams adapt to it. And I think just telling them how it's going to happen and how it's going to go down is really good for the mental state. Like, they seem more prepared heading into this.
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be getting into our first match shortly here, but I want to give a shout out here to Sony with the Play to Win with Xperia 1 IV, created in collaboration with professional esports players, so you know it's going to be good. The Sony's Xperia is the official smartphone provider and partner here of PUBG Mobile. But as you saw before on the schedule, we do have Erangel coming up here in just a few moments to kick things off for this event. High fives going out, at least air high fives as well here. But it's time to bring in our commentators, maybe have a little chat with them before the match kicks off here. We got John, Allen, and Blank joining me here on the desk. Gentlemen, this is going to be crazy. It's going to be exciting. Maybe you have some teams you want to point out. I'll leave the floor open to you.
Thank you very much, Jason. Yeah, we're going to be getting into this first game. Blank, there's a lot of teams here with a lot on the line.
There is, yeah. And Jason was asking, you know, is there any other teams that maybe we're looking at? I think there's one team that maybe the guys on the desk haven't mentioned yet that I'd love to talk about, and that is actually Vampire Esports. I do think that this team currently looks extremely good as a team overall. You know, they've been through a lot of different iterations of Victim Sovers at the start of the year into Victim 365, then Ion Esports in their qualifier for the Spring 22 finals, and now finally coming through you know, now as Vampire Esports. So, oh no, they were Power Triple 8 right at the beginning. Sorry, that's Morph GG I'm talking about. But they've gone through a lot of iterations. They have now Corpai on the team, who used to be on Power Triple 8 when they had some of their better games. He's coaching, so they're talking about coaching on the desk as well. This could be a great position for them.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be looking pretty strong for them right now. Everyone loading up into the game. I think we got the plane path of the first game maybe loading on up here. Blank as well. You can see the players in the lobby. Look at that. They're running around. They're trying to get everything sorted. Those furtive glances over the shoulder there. Something going on.
Yeah, no, just trying to get people into the match, and already we are having things kicked off here in the PMWI, this regional clash between so many different players from so many different countries here. It's great to see the representation. There's no problems either because everyone's playing here at LAN.
Game number 1 loading on up. Erangel as we kick things off here. Players loading on, the plane path moving over as it fades into the map. Loading on up. Match number 1. It all starts now. The helicopters flank the plane.
Helicopters coming out of this one next to the plane here. We are having our plane path already. We did get a little quick sneak peek at this plane path at the beginning of the game, heading just under Novo up towards Gatka. Now this is a fantastic little drop spot already for Stalwart. I'd imagine they're going to be dropping out the plane here, but it's Aton jumping out almost immediately, heading up possibly towards Mill to Power. That's a drop spot that they've been loving recently. Rozok, on the other hand, quite inaccessible, and that was going to be quite the big hot drop for a lot of teams like Donuts heading up there, a few other teams on that location with Damwon and Kia just underneath them in School and Apps, but you can see that Stalwart already immediately in Nova Repnoya. Sometimes they will head towards North Sosnovka, but this is their preferred drop, and this is great for an 18-man lobby, John.
Yeah, and then Wildcats as well over on that military base, joining them on that South Island. Those northern crossings may be a little bit more populated, do you think, after those bridges with this plane path as south as it is. Some teams will try and migrate north, sure, but that traffic jam will certainly have an impact.
Yeah, you're just trying to cover as much of the map as possible. You know, James, Max, Jason on the desk, all talking about this beforehand, saying that, you know, there is going to be a lot of space on the map that you're going to have to cover. Not so many scouting positions now can be taken for these teams, just in the early game at least, just in case you get caught off guard by a team that's in the vicinity that you maybe wouldn't think would be there before. Though we do have Vampire Esports, they are doing their usual drop down towards Ferry Pier, Quarry, and Primorse, really taking things wide at the beginning of this game.
Yeah, a little bit of a late dropout, sure, but it was fairly close by to the plane path, right? So they will have plenty of time to be able to navigate and get things sorted for themselves moving forwards on their northerly movements that will have to come through as the circle pops. It looks like Falcon already in competition with Morph. The top of the hill currently occupied by Morph.
Yeah, it's going to be quite difficult here for Morph to actually... well, it's very easy for Morph to pick up on this one because Falcon's drop is a little bit further up towards Yaz, honestly. So Morph drop out early, get the catch on Falcons. Already taken one player from alone down here. Does get res back up into the fight, though. So not quite elimination coming through just yet. But Donuts USG actually currently have 2 points already.
Yeah, they're starting to pop off. I mean, looks like they've managed to find themselves a little bit of a spot. Falcons, as we're talking about, rezzed up in a little bit of cover. Presence known, though, between those two teams on that split area. Never alone. Has his team. Yep. Seems to play to the name. But look at this. You've got Box Gaming with some trouble.
Yeah, Bucks dropping right on the coastal side, and it's VGS trying to pass by them in vehicles. Now, VGS have 2 spots. It's up towards Severny as their secondary, Lipovka as their primary. Not able to get to any of them. So this is so awkward, but this is now time for Bucks to try and show some dominance. They regrouped around Break and Soaz after their decent PMGC. I think it was World League. Now they really need to show their stuff here after losing a couple of players and reforming.
Nearly perfect nade there coming through from Break, but doesn't quite get the knock. They will have got that hit marker, that indication that there's a player close. They know there's a vehicle moved. Well, they still know that there's a player this close. Mini 14 with the 4X on the off angle for VGS. Should be pretty solid at holding down this ridgeline, but if 3 players from Box go down, it's going to be tough. Around the side, though, gives away the position, and it's an easy spray down for Box Gaming to pick up their first elimination of the game.
That's a really sick just run around there from the team. Very fantastic stuff overall. VGS just crumbling. Obviously not able to get either of their drum spots in this game. And they just fumble for it. And this is what the 18-team lobby does to you. You know, you try and head to a spot that you think may be free, but it's just not.
Still bleeding out VGS down to 2. They will be taken on out. Donuts. They were contesting as well. Enigma Galaxy taking early losses. These are the 2 points that you were pointing out earlier.
Yep. Yeah, that is rough there. But USG, honestly, this is a team that really wanted to take Rozhok. You know, in all the practice games we see them play before this, they have always gone Rozhok here. Just looking at anything on my drops in terms of statistics, you know, 4 Rivals was the other team that was going to head over here. But in fact, you know, Enigma Galaxy tried to challenge out. Usually they're the Pachinki team, so maybe they dropped just slightly short. USG had to go a little bit further. And just on the way, they picked up a couple of points.
You love to see it.
Yeah.
Certainly if you're a USG fan. Falcon, 4 players in a vehicle. Not advisable. They're heading towards Yasnaya Polyana as well, which is currently occupied by Morph. On this northern rotation, they are behind the game. Morph on the western side of Yasnaya right now. They will be holding down a lot of those buildings, a lot of those compounds. Hopefully they're going to spot the Falcons' approach, right? It's a very open field. If you're looking that way, you will be seeing them. They're only in 1 vehicle as well, which means that if you're taking some pot shots, you might even be able to get a couple of eliminations there.
Absolutely. I mean, there's a real chance for it. Now, VGS, you know, broken and battered, heading up still past Damwon Kia, who've still gone for that Apps School split. It's a little tighter this time, though, and I respect that from Damwon Kia. James on the desk was talking about, you know, how really they wanted to keep things survival-based. Get towards the end of the game. It's not about huge eliminations, just consistently putting up those placement points. Now, that's going to give you a good average point over in the PMWI, but 3 days, you do need to strike out a little bit. Donuts USG getting these initial 2 points and also claiming Rozhok straight away. This is fantastic for them. And Donuts USG, they've come out on top in Japan at the moment. Even in the PUBG Mobile showdown between Korea and Japan, they were a full 10 points ahead of anyone else in that lobby right at the top. So really fantastic stuff from Donuts USG so far.
Hopefully spinning around, turning their opponents' heads whenever they can. Morph, I think they have spotted Falcons. Falcons, you can see, still with a little bit of damage on board. That might have been from earlier, probably still healing that one up. Never Alone was the player who was already knocked by the enemy team. I don't know if it was Morph, actually. I have to go back and watch that again. But Falcons did get knocked. Oh, it was Morph from up the hill. That was the first engagement that they had. So they did already do a little bit of damage. It looks like they will not leave each other alone for now. VGS down to 2 players. They've spotted back-to-back on the ridge line. It looks like, back-to-back just want to take up position.
Yeah.
And see whatever vantage points they can try and claim.
This is fairly interesting as well because Regan's trying to head in the direction of Morph. These are 2 teams that drop in Yasnaya. Regan's with a Yasnaya South Kameshki split, but Falcon's trying to take up this position as well over in Yasnaya. So a lot of contention on this eastern side of the map. I know that 52 Esports, they've tried to take Stalba and then South Yasnaya as well before, but right now they're right on the western coast at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like they've changed it up. I mean, to be fair, there have to be some changes, right? In this lobby, it's a new mode that these teams won't have played with 18 teams in it, right? Mm-hmm. It is seemingly a small difference, but it absolutely will have an impact, as the desk covered previously. So we'll have to see what impact that actually has, because right now, we haven't seen much more than 1 or 2 hot drops, right?
Well, what I will say, is that people have been very stubborn on their drop spots. And even just from the small research that I was able to do, I say small, modest, small research they were able to do about their drop spots beforehand in this tournament, a lot of these teams have gone for these drop spots regardless of how south that playing path was. So, we could have this gentleman's agreement going on from a lot of these teams. It's like, these are our spots, we can't go away from them. So secondary spots just really aren't too available anymore. And for that reason, if you get a really, really bad playing path, you could be in for a very bad game.
The playing path on this one was very south, and the circle did shift up north. And I'm looking at the teams that have made that journey north early, and I'm looking at 4 rivals, right? All the way up in Severny. Right at the top of this circle now, playing from their northern bastion. Stalwart Esports on the southeast of the circle, just about crossing in. One of the favorites of this tournament right now, Blank.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I don't have too many notes on this team just because they play things so clean, and there's only so many ways you can write clean, to be honest with you. So I was very, very impressed with Stalwart. I think so is the desk. They're set for a fantastic PMWI, but we could see some rising stars, some rising countries just come out of nowhere and blast them out of the water, but we'll have to wait and see here. But for Stalwart, so far, things have been very good. I really do like this Novo drop for them in the beginning here. The edge of the map with 18 teams, it's going to be rough. There's not a lot of positions to play in, and with the loot that you get on board from Novo, with the 6 to 7 med kits that we saw already on just one of their players, they'll be able to outlast that storm on the edge.
You'd hope so, with the caliber of teams that we're dealing with anyway. Although that works to their detriment as well, doesn't it? I mean, they have to face off against this super high caliber lobby. It's not going to be easy. Aiton, take up the gas station. That's out to the west of Yasnaya Polyana. And Morph looking their way.
Yeah, so Morph just on that western road, right, with Aton just underneath them. And Yasnaya, for Morph, that being their original spot, they've actually moved west here towards that northern coast. So, they're just looking out for any cheeky teams that try and hold on this north coast. And it's a great idea as well, because it's a very easy position to corner and cause mayhem from many teams, because you don't really want to cluster around this southern edge. There's so much space up towards Severny, especially with that southern playing path. This is a great position to, take up and just chill out, take some time for yourself, especially if you dropped in South George. Like some of the teams, in fact, we've already seen TJB move up. Vampire Esports might want to head up there, so will 52 just in the South George bridge right now. So Morph could get a lot of points just from this singular position.
I'm looking at USG as well, right? You talked about earlier in the game. It's great they've managed to get Rozhok. They've managed to lay claim to that area. But if they don't leave there early enough, it could prove to be their tomb, their mausoleum, right? If they aren't able to get across early enough, if it's a northern shift, they could really be scuppered.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you can take every one of these teams and just imagine that they're elastic bands. And USG is that first elastic band. And you know when you create that elastic band ball, at some point it is going to break and explode. And poor USG is right in the middle. They are going to get,
Just get bigger elastic bands. I don't.
You could do. I'm working with very small elastic bands here.
They certainly have had that opportunity, probably more so than most of these other teams. Morph had to move a lot at the start. I mean, Nick Galaxy might have had that opportunity, but unfortunately they lost 2 players early.
Ooh.
4 rivals jetting down from the north side.
You absolutely would as well. I mean, this is a great time for them. You know, you get such an awful playing path. You head up all the way to Severny, and the circle just continues to move north and north and north. And now at this point in time, they were being quite passive, but with this shift, they are absolutely sending it down into the circle, trying to take a position as fast as they can in one of the compounds. But it's TJB that's rocking up on 4 rivals who've just come to this position.
GK First leading the charge, getting first opening and doing it brilliantly. Living up to the name, first elimination for the TJB squad now. 4 rivals in the corner, backed up to the back building here. The height advantage in favor of TJB. Morph over the ridgeline as well. Watch out for that scout. Watch out for the third party if this fight goes on too long. The off angle is there for 4 rivals. You can see that in the minimap on the top right. They have got those sightlines to control, but Lin's moving forwards as well, putting pressure on 4 rivals, forcing them out of this compound, of this cover. They want to try and catch them. They don't quite have the off angles, not just yet, but with that nade, jumper taken low. 4 rivals behind the vehicle. Lin out first. Xiao soon to follow, looking to go out wide. Will they spot the player? They should have caught sight of that one, and those bullets will certainly give the game away. The gunshots ring out, but not finding the knock. Jumper now in more danger. Swings around the corner. Lin sprays, but the Scar doesn't quite land it. Half HP, and it's spotted. There is the off angle. Tingsker finds what TJB are looking for. 2 players from 4 rivals are down.
Really incredible stuff, and yeah, I'm loving to see the new Scar love coming through, the most recent buffs for the guns coming into the game. You know, Scar being almost as good as the M4 now, if not better, depending in the hands. So really, really nice to see a little bit more variation in terms of that weaponry. Already another little knock coming through for Team Soul. But yeah, great stuff from TJB. Considering they were all the way over towards Hospital South George, that was one hell of a send that they made happen over towards this compound, which is now extremely central in this circle.
TJB firing far. Nick Galaxy, the first team to go down fully blank. They lost 2 players very early.
Yeah.
You kind of think, fair enough, go again.
It's a bit of a struggle, though, for Nick Galaxy. It's not kind of the precedent you want to be setting as that team when everyone knows you as the survivalist. You are the Bear Grylls of the lobby, and it's just not working out for them here. Scry from Stalwart taking some shots over towards Wildcats. Already Ray going down. Defoe off in the distance, takes some pot shots back, but now it's the Wildcats having to regroup here and trying to make something work.
A moment, Wildcats heavily under fire for Stalwart on the south side of them, but there's a traffic jam to get further into the zone as the next circle pops heavily south as well. So it will be on their shoreline, but they have a lot of treacherous ground ahead of them.
Action eliminating Ray here.
Of course, if you guys want to earn points, you can complete daily mission. Once enough points are accumulated, you can tap on the rewards icon in the game to claim the corresponding reward. That's if you're watching enough of this PMWI.
You can participate in the event solo or team up with other players. That's absolutely fine. And you know what? just like the players in the PMWI, teaming up could get you that reward just a little bit easier.
There's Vampire. You can see, you were talking about them earlier. They're swimming in the river right now. I always think that these river finishes in the middle section near that Rozhok crossing is one of the most brutal places that these circles can finish.
I mean, all these teams on the northern side are going to be dragged across sandpaper, basically, trying to get into this circle. It's so unfortunate because you assume it's going north here. TJB got such a nice position, and it swings back down south. Now, I want to see USG, the Japanese team, translate this because they've been given such a good opportunity here for a chicken dinner right at the beginning of the day.
Highton looking to guard them out. Currently on the eastern side of the circle, will stop that rotation north, stop that progression west. Make things difficult. Down one, ahead. You can see they're taking a couple of knocks from back to back. I think this is the circle where most of this impact to the 18-team lobby will be felt, although we are down to 62 players.
17 teams still. I did not expect this at this point in the game. Already 17 minutes in. It's absolutely nutty here. 52 esports do knock themselves, though. That is extremely unfortunate. They're coming from that western side. But Stalwart, we mentioned them. They were taking a fight versus the Wildcats, and this is where they need to play the edge game perfectly. They've been thrown a little bit of a lifeline here on the southern edge. See if they can make anything happen with it.
Stalwart taking shots. Really fast and strong rotation, I'd say, but Lightning does get caught there, unfortunately, for the spray down. And they are going to lose him at the wall, up the top, back-to-back, have their Polo. Representative for the squad. As the nades start to ring out. They're not going full aggression just yet, Blank.
Now, if you want to get yourself the 2022 PMWI Gunskin and outfit, you know, we have a sale period going on through from the 4th of August through to the 13th of August. We have 50% off PMWI packs, and you get a set straight away in that time frame and 5 extra chances to draw the PMWI treasure chest.
And if you miss out on that first sale period, there is a second one from the 14th of September all the way up till the 15th of the next month, where you get 16% off PMWI packs. You get 6 chances to draw PMWI treasure chests.
Looking straight back at the game here, back-to-back have actually made it quite far from there. It was quite a difficult drop spot for them on that southern edge on the coast. Wildcats still in this one with 3 players. Surprisingly, you know, they took an absolute beating from Stalwart on that southeastern edge, but the circle is starting to close in right now. Directly on top of Rozhok. Oh, USG, yes please.
They're very happy about that, you're right. We talked about how it might be their mausoleum, but instead it's going to be their pedestal.
गरे तर कुनै पनि रिजल्ट भने चाहिँ ध्यान दिन सक्दैन रकीको एचपी लो थियो फाइनली रकी डाउन एन्ड अर्को प्लेयरले उता पार्टनर बचाउने कोसिस गरिराखेको हामी देख्न सक्छौं जो अहिलेलाई एकदमै क्रिटिकल सिचुएसनमा छन् यताबाट त कभर मिल्ला उनलाई तर पछाडीबाट आउने शट्सहरुबाट उनी कसरी बच्छन् त मेबी त्यो एउटा डिसएडभान्टेज
यहाँ आईडब्ल्यूडी पुश गर्ने कि नगर्ने आईडब्ल्यू भन्ने आईडब्ल्यूडी भन्ने आई थिंक म थोरै कन्फ्युज भइरहेको छु त्यहाँ एनीवे मर्फ टीम को कुरा गर्दै थिए म प्लेसमेन्ट को बारेमा थाहा थियो हामीलाई यो अप्ठ्यारो प्लेसमेन्ट छ भनेर सोल भर्सेस स्टलबर्ट को भनौं न सोशल मिडिया राइभलरी बनेको थियो यहाँ अब इन गेम फाइट पनि होला जस्तो छ एक्सन हातमा नेड लिएर घुमिरहेका छन् एक नक निकाल्छन् कि राइट डाइरेक्सनमा फालेका छन् उनले नेड ओके थ्री चिप ड्यामेज मात्र डिल गरे उनले एक तर यहाँ नक भएको देख्न सकिन्छ VGS को टिमको साइडबाट टप थोरै अगाडि छन् उनको लागि अझै बेटर एंगल देखिरहेको छ फ्र्याङ्कली भन्ने एकै राम्रो कम्बिनेसन हेर त ढोका फुटालियो र यो नेड गयो भने सही हुने थियो बट ढोका फुटालिएन एउटा पहिला फुटेको भए गनको साथमा देन इजी नक चाहिँ हुन सक्थ्यो सोल भर्सेस स्टलवर्ट ठिक छ त्यहाँ जोनले गर्दा फर्स्ट दिएछन् टपको एङ्गल राम्रो छ भन्दै थिए गब्लिनलाई पनि नक निकालेको छ अब त पुश गर्नको लागि गएको थियो टिम बट टपलाई चाहिँ स्टारले नक निकाले स्टारले फिनिस गरियो एक्सन आउँछन् मेरो साथी मेरो भाइलाई फिनिस गर्ने भन्दै उनी रिभेन्ज लिइ पनि सके स्टलवर्टले टप लुज गरे पनि 2 एलिमिनेसन 3 एलिमिनेसन पोइन्ट चाहिँ एउटा इन्जोय गर्नेछ बट टिपिकल रोजाक सर्कल डेड आई गाइज मिस हुँदैछ एटलिस्ट हाम्रो साइडबाट चाहिँ स्टलवर्ट 3 पोइन्ट आफ्नो नाममा निकालेको छ उनीहरूको 1v1 अथवा 2v2 टिडिएम त भएन बट कहीँ न कहीँ गेम फाइट हुँदैछ जहाँ स्टलवर्ट अलिकता हेभी देखिँदैछ भने ओमेगा केही गरिकन केही पोइन्ट आउँछ कि भन्ने आशमा पुरा काप्चातिर छ
ओमेगा अब भने त बच्नु पर्यो आफ्नो टिमलाई सर्भाइभल पोइन्ट्स दिनुपर्ने हुन्छ उनको तर्फबाट यदि उनी बच्न सक्छन् भने तर पनि मलाई लाग्दैन उनी धेरै बेर बच्छन् कि भनेर भ्याम्पायरका प्लेयर्सहरू हामी यहाँ पानीमा रहेका प्लेयर्सहरूलाई वाइप गरिराखेको देखिएको छ भ्याम्पायरका बाँकी दुईजनालाई पनि ल्यान्ड एरिया टच गर्नुपर्ने त्यसै पनि यहाँ कन्डिसन रहेको थियो टप 13 मा गेम कन्भर्ट भइसक्यो 35 प्लेयर अझै पनि लबीमा छन् स्टार्टिङबाट नै हामीले एग्रेसन अथवा क्लासेसहरू देखिएको कारणले गर्दाखेरि ओके यो म्याच चाहिँ छिटो सकिएको हो कि जस्तो पनि लाग्ने यहाँ देखिएको छ 4 राइभल्सका लास्ट प्लेयर जो छन् उनी थोरै जोनको एरिया उनलाई चाहिएको छ त्यो कारणले गर्दाखेरि मुभ गर्ने डिसिजन उनी लिँदै थिए तर उनको पार्टनर पनि त्यहाँ नक भएको कन्डिसनमा रहेका थिए बचाउने त चान्सेस नै रहेको थिएन पनि उनलाई फिनिस पनि गरिसकिएको छ टिजेबीका प्लेयर पनि यहाँ जोनको ड्यामेज डिल गर्दै हामी यहाँबाट मुभ गर्दै गरेको देखिँदै त थियो तर उनलाई पनि अब पनि जाम निकालियो
टिजेबी भने चाइनिज टिम नभन्नु होला युरोपको टिम रहेको छ आई थिङ्क वेस्टर्न युरोपको पिएमपिएल चाहिँ उनीहरू खेल्ने गर्छ मैले थोरै बताएको थिएँ बट वान सेकेन्ड फर्दर मोर इन्फर्मेसन दिएँ आरएसजी चाहिँ यस चाइनिज नै टिम हो जुन तपाईँको पिएलमा चाहिँ देखिने गर्छ आरएसजीका प्लेयर पनि जोनले गर्दा यहाँ फिनिस भइरहेको देखिरहेको छ सर्कल त अझै पनि छ रोजकमा नै युएसजीको टिम राम्रो एङ्गल बनाएर बसेका थिए बट पिक गर्ने चक्करमा म्याक्सिमम ड्यामेज फेस गरेपछि उनी हिल गर्नतिर लागेको छन् एन्ड मिसाइल चाहिँ गाडी रेडी गर्दैछन् आरएसजी लबीबाट बाहिर निक्लियो टप 10 मा गेम कन्भर्ट भइसकेको छ आई थिङ्क सोलको जुन लास्ट प्लेयर बचेका थिए ओमेगा उनी अझै पनि जोनमा रहेका छन् भ्याम्पायर पुरा एजमा मात्र खेलेको छ 8 एलिमिनेसन पोइन्ट्स यो टिमले अलरेडी आफ्नो नाममा गर्यो 6औं सर्कल आइसक्यो हाम्रो 22 मिनटको गेम प्ले 22.5 मिनटको गेम प्लेमा युएसजी पनि अगाडिपट्टिको एरिया होल्ड गर्नको लागि पाउनको लागि मुभ गर्दै त छ बट युएसजी त्यति खासै प्रब्लममा छ जस्तो मलाई लागेको थिएन बट प्रब्लममा स्टलबर्ट आयो किन भन्दा टप फिनिस भइसके एक्सन अहिले नक हुँदैछन्
दुईटा गन पावर प्लेयर भने चाहिँ स्टार्टिङ त नभनौँ फाइटको चाहिँ यो जुन जबरजस्तीवाला फाइट छ भनौँ एग्रेसन छ त्यतिखेर चाहिँ रिजल्टै ननिकालिकन प्लेयर चाहिँ डाउन हुनुपर्ने कन्डिसन बनिराखेको छ यहाँबाट देख्न सक्छौँ प्लेयर्सहरूको इन्ट्री चाहिरहेको थियो उनीहरूलाई कम्पाउन्ड स्पेस खाली गर्नुपर्ने छ त्यो एउटा डिसएडभान्टेज लोवर ग्राउन्ड उनीहरूलाई बनिरहेको थियो भने भ्याम्पायरका प्लेयर्सहरू थ्रोएबलले होल्ड गराउन चाहन्छन् त्यो टिमलाई त्यो थ्रोएबलले पनि केही हदसम्म ड्यामेज डिल इम्प्याक्टमा भन्नुपर्दाखेरि नकै निकाल्न सफल रहेका थिए हुन त त्यो एरियामा रहेको टिमलाई नै यहाँबाट चाहिँ एलिमिनेट गरेर देखाइदिइसकेका छन् भ्याम्पायर फर्दर मोर एलिमिनेसन पोइन्ट उनीहरूले एड गरिराखेको हामीले देख्न सक्छौँ युएसजीका प्लेयर्सहरूलाई पनि हामी यहाँ देख्न सक्छौँ नम्बर रोकिएको छ उनीहरूले सर्कलको इज पनि बनाउने कोसिस गर्दै थिए भने स्टालबर्टको एक्सनलाई त बचाइएको थियो तर स्क्रीलाई भने चाहिँ अब फिनिस गरियो
ओके स्टलबर्टको टिम थोरै गर्दै ट्रबलमा आउँदैछ मिनी म्याप पनि माथि कर्नरमा देख्न सकिन्छ जहाँ स्टलबर्टसँग जोन त रहेछ बट लेटर फेजमा आई थिङ्क जोन छ उनीहरूसँग येल्लो कलरमा उनीहरू भए मान्थेँ मैले किन भन्दा अलिकता कम देखिरहेको छु मैले मेरो आँखाले भन्दा पनि क्वालिटी अलिकता कम फिल भइरहेको छ एटलिस्ट मलाई चाहिँ टप 7 मा गेम कन्भर्ट भइसक्यो 19 प्लेयर रहेको छन् अर्बन एरियामा सर्कल बनेपछि लट्स अफ द पुश हामी एक्सपेक्ट गर्न सक्थ्यौँ ओमेगाले एक नक निकालेको थिए बट उनको पनि एचपी ठिकठाक नै रहेछ मैले सोचेँ कि ड्यामेज फेस गरेको छन् उनी बट नो वालको साइडमा कभर बनाएर उनी अहिलेको लागि जीवित नै रहेको छन् टप 7 मा सोल छिर्न त सफल रहेको थियो बट एउटा युटिलिटी आश गरिरहेको छु ड्यामेज दिने युटिलिटी रहन्छ बक्सको प्लेयर जुन हाम्रो फ्रेममा छन् उनीसँग ओमेगा अगाडि मुभ गर्दैछन् उनीसँग पनि युटिलिटी छैन सो द्याट्स वाइ कसरी हुन्छ बच्ने उनको सोच रहनेछ टप 6 मा छिरेको छन् उनी थाहा छ उनी बाहिर निस्किन उनी फिनिस हुन सक्छन् टप 6 हैन अब त उनी टप 5 पनि पुगिसकेको छन् बक्सको टिमको 4 जना प्लेयर मिलेर एकजनालाई खोज्दै थिए बट धेरै अगाडि आयो ब्रेक एन्ड उनलाई पनिश गरिएको छ नक निकालियो रिभाइभ गर्नको लागि त मुस्किल देख्छु म किन भन्दा त्योसम्म रिक्स लिएर कोही आउँछ जस्तो मलाई लाग्दैन स्टलबर्टको टिमको कुरा गर्दै थियौँ हामी सायद उनीहरूले नै सोललाई फिनिस गर्न सक्छ किन भन्दा वालमा बसेको प्लेयर त्यताबाट भिजिबल रहन पायो बट नो अझै पनि भिजिबल त उनी छैनन् जोन स्टलबर्टसँग नै रहेको छ 2 म्यान भए पनि म आश गरिरहेको छु कि उनीहरू अझै माथि जान्छ एटलिस्ट र्याङ्क वाइज
र्याङ्क वाइज उनीहरूले सही निकाल्न पनि सक्छन् जस्तो देखिएको छ। भनौँ न यतातिर दुईटा टिमको बिचमा क्लास बन्न आएको छ, नम्बर काउन्ट गर्दैछ। भ्याम्पायरका प्लेयर्सहरू ब्याक टु ब्याक राम्रो पोइन्ट्स निकालिँदै राखेका थिए। यहाँ भने चाहिँ थोरै भल्नरेबल बन्न पुगे। एकजना प्लेयर उनीहरूको डाउन छन्। उनीहरूको अगेन्स्टमा रहेको टिमको पनि कन्डिसन त थोरै क्रिटिकल नै रहेको थियो। पनि स्टालवर्डका प्लेयर पिकाले चाहिँ स्पट गर्यो, ओमेगालाई लबीबाट चाहिँ भने बाहिर निकाल्यो। टप 5 को एन्ट्री देखाउन सफल रहेको थियो टिम सोल। युएसजीका प्लेयर अब भने उनी चाहन्छन् त्यो स्पटलाई होल्ड गर्नलाई। उनले पार्टनर रिभाइभ गर्ने चान्स पनि मौका पनि भने चाहिँ उनलाई बनाउन दिएको छैन। ब्याक टु ब्याक प्रयोगको प्रेसर केही कन्सर्ट्सहरू पनि त्यहाँ गइराखेको थियो भने अब यो प्यानिक सिचुएसनमा उनले क्लच गरेर देखाउने चान्सेस एकदमै कम छ। एन्ड मैले त्यहाँ किल 19 देख्दै थिएँ भ्याम्पायरको टिमको। कति चाहिँ एड गर्ने यो टिम, कति चाहन्छ किल? 19 एलिमिनेसन पोइन्ट।
मैले अलरेडी नै भनेको थिएँ नि, यो लबी यस्तो भएपछि हामीले 20-25 किल एलिमिनेसन चाहिँ नर्मल्ली देख्नेवाला छौँ भनेर। त्यो सायद आज राइट पनि प्रुभ हुँदैछ। पहिलो म्याचमा नै नर्मल कुरा रहेको थियो, बट यहाँ नेड युज गरिदिन्छ बक्सको एगेन्स्टमा। के ड्यामेज दिन्छ कहीँ? ओ ब्रेक बचेको छ नि, यहाँबाट त नक भएन, बट अर्को युटिलिटी फेरि एक्सनले फालेको छ नि। यहाँ एक नक त म आश गरेको छु मिनिमम पनि। यस ब्रेक दोस्रो चोटि नक भएको छ। एकदमै खराब टाइममा नक भयो भने, बट अर्को एउटा युटिलिटी पनि मैले युज भएको देखेँ, बट त्यो वेस्ट मात्रै हुन गयो। बक्सको टिम ओपनमा पुश गर्न बाध्य भएको छ। PMWI आई थिङ्क PUBG मोबाइल वर्ल्ड लिगको जुन सर्कल थियो त्यो हामी देख्न पाउँदैछौँ। मेबी ओरेन्ज रकले म्याच जितेको खाले सर्कल किन आइकोनिक भन्दै चाहिँ इन्डियन कम्युनिटीमा चाहिँ यसलाई अलिकति प्रमोट गरिन्छ, यो सर्कललाई प्रमोट गरिन्छ। मलाई ठ्याक्कै त्यही फिल चाहिँ आउँदैछ। एन्ड PMWI वर्ल्ड लिग भनौँ न, सो सेम फिलिङ पनि आउँदै थियो भने युएसजीका प्लेयर पनि फिनिस निकाल्दैछन्, बट जोनभन्दा बाहिर रहेको त मिसाइल एनी टाइम फिनिस रहन सक्छन्। उनी फिनिस भइसकेपछि स्टलवर्डले पहिलो म्याच पनि टप 3 मा आफूलाई ल्याइसकेको छ। टप 3 मात्रै होइन, अझै माथि जान सक्छ कि भनेको, बट उनी स्पटेड रहे, फिनिस गरिएको छ। टप 3 नै उनीहरूको फाइनल डेस्टिनेसन। मैले 22 फिनिस भ्याम्पायरले अलरेडी
ह्युज पोइन्ट्स यहाँ निकालिसकेको छ भ्याम्पायरको टिमको तर्फबाट। उनीहरूको अगेन्स्टमा रहेको बक्सको जम्मा 2 एलिमिनेसन पोइन्ट यहाँ देखिएको थियो। लास्ट बेलामा स्पट गरिनेवाला चाहिँ इजी टेकडाउन त्यहाँबाट निकालियो। एन्ड भ्याम्पायर स्पोर्ट्स त्यहाँ निकाल्दैछ एउटा सही गेम। वाट अ पर्फर्मेन्स। अब डोमिनेसन कसरी निकाल्यो भन्ने कि उनीहरूलाई एडभान्टेज थियो भन्ने कि भनौँ न, हरेक कुराबाट अन पेपर अन रिजल्ट भने चाहिँ सही देखिएको छ। एन्ड यस वाट अ स्टार्टिङ फ्रम भ्याम्पायर।
कि भ्याम्पायरले 25 फिनिस निकाल्यो। मैले भनेको स्टेटमेन्ट एटलिस्ट उनीहरूले यहाँ चाहिँ राइट गरिदिएको छ। उनीहरूले निकालेको छ सेकेन्ड दिन राम्रो पोइन्ट्स यहाँबाट कलेक्ट गर्न भ्यायो उनीहरूले। के भन्ने पहिलो म्याच हो ल्यान्डको आफ्टर अ लङ टाइम ग्लोबल लबीमा यो तरिकाको गेम प्ले हामी एक्सपेक्ट गर्थ्यौँ पनि। एन्ड त्योभन्दा बढी पनि प्लेयरहरूले चाहिँ प्रुभ गरेर देखायो। एन्ड यस ल्यान्ड हो भनेपछि यो भाइब अथवा यो फिलिङ त आउने नै थियो, जहाँ प्लेयरको नजिकै पुरा क्यामेरा घुमिरहेको हुन्छ, प्लेयरले एक्स्ट्रा फुटेज पाइरहेको हुन्छन्। हामी साइड कर्नर लागेको छ, हामी यति कर्नरमा यति आउँदैछौँ भने प्लेयरहरूले चाहिँ बढी फुटेज पाउँदैछन्, उनीहरू चाहिँ बढी देखाउँदैछन्। यस यो ल्यान्डको यही नै भाइब हुन्छ। एन्ड देन ल्यान्डको भाइब 18 टिमको भाइब लबीमा त्यो देखिएको छ। 25 फिनिस
ह्युज फिनिस निकाले। भर्खरको भर्खर भनौँ न एलिमिनेसन हुने भर्जमा पुगेको त्यो टिमले यसो एलिमिनेसन पोइन्ट हेर्नु पर्दाखेरि 8-9 थियो। त्यसपछि त्यो माथिको हिलमै बसेर उनीहरूले त्यति किल पोइन्ट्स निकालेका थिए कि भनौँ न पुरै एडभान्टेज रह्यो टिमलाई। हुन त उनीहरूको अगेन्स्टमा आएको टिममाथि पनि पुरै राम्रो डिफेन्ड गरेको हो भ्याम्पायर स्पोर्ट्सलाई। मेबी त्यो कुरामा तारिफ पनि गर्नुपर्ने हुन्छ। हामीले देखिएको थियो रोजकमै आएर 2-3वटा टिमले त उनीहरूमाथि प्रेस पनि गरेका थिए। उनीहरूमाथि आएको त्यो एग्रेसनलाई चाहिँ ब्रेक लगाउन सफल पनि भएका थिए भने त्यही कुराले गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ रिजल्ट उनीहरूलाई किल पोइन्ट्स वाइज पनि धेरै आएको थियो, देख्न पाइएको थियो। स्टालवर्डको टिमलाई पनि तारिफ गर्नुपर्ने हुन्छ जुन हिसाबले टिमले खेल्यो। एउटा सही स्टार्टिङ जुन हामी चाहन्थ्यौँ, जुन हाम्रो एक्सपेक्टेसनमा रहेको थियो,
हामीले खोजे जस्तो निक्लियो भनौँ। एटलिस्ट म त ह्याप्पी छु, किनभने हामी यसै पनि एक्सपेक्टेड गर्दैछौँ कि 25 सोचेको थियो, 24 रहेछ। माई ब्याड। ओके एनिवे 39 पोइन्ट्स उनीहरूले निकालेको छ। युएसजीको टिम 16 देख्न सकिन्छ। स्टलवर्डको टिम पनि 15 पोइन्ट्स निकाले। उनीहरूको नेचुरल गेम प्ले जान त पाएन, बट फर्स्ट म्याचमा नै टप 3 निकाल्नु। एन्ड देन हामी एक्सपेक्ट गरिरहेको छौँ ओभरअल टुर्नामेन्टमै टप 3 या टप 5 त मिनिमम निकाल्छन्। र सोलले निकालेको छ प्लेसमेन्ट पोइन्ट। 3 एलिमिनेसन थियो, 2 त निकमा ग्यालेक्सीको डुओ प्लेयरलाई मारेका थिए उनीहरूले। बक्स गेमिङको लागि 14 पोइन्ट, एटोनको लागि 7 हामी देख्न सकिन्छ। भिभो किटको लागि देख्न सकिन्छ 6 पोइन्ट्स। ड्यामोन गेमिङ उनीहरूले 5 पोइन्ट्स मात्र निकालेको थियो। हुन त उनीहरू रोजकमा नै रहेको थियो। रोजकमा पहिल्यैबाट बसेको टिमहरू राम्रो खेल्न सकेनन् भनौँ, किन भन्दा युएसए थियो राइट, बट बाँकी कुरा गर्नुपर्छ। स्टलवर्ड पनि बाहिरबाट आएको थियो। भ्याम्पायरको टिम पछाडि पानीको साइडबाट पुस गर्दै डिफेन्ड गर्दै आएको थियो। सो सिटीमा बसेका टिमहरू भन्दा पनि अरूले चाहिँ बेटर गेम प्ले देखाइदिए यहाँ।
अरू टिमहरुको लागि यसै पनि त्यहाँ राम्रो गेम प्ले बनेको त देखिएको थियो भनौँ न जुन स्टार्टिङ हामीले सोचिराखेका थियौँ 18 टिम हुँदाखेरि कसरी हुन्छ होला गेम भनेर मेबी त्यसको जुन हाम्रो एजम्पसन थियो कि स्टार्टिङ फेजबाट नै क्लास एन्ड कुनै एउटा टिमले पाउने चाहिँ ह्युज नम्बर अफ एलिमिनेसन पोइन्ट भनिएको थियो त्यही हिसाबले नै चल्ने भन्ने कुरा चाहिँ हामीले बुझ्न सक्छौँ आजको पहिलो दिनको म्याच त्यो हिसाबले चल्यो भनेपछि बाँकी रहेका म्याचेसहरूलाई पनि त्यही हिसाबले चलाउनु पर्ने नै हुन्छ इनफ्याक्ट अब सानक म्यापमा पनि हेर्न चाहिँ रमाइलो हुन्छ तर पनि हामीसँग म्याचेसहरू अझै पनि आउन चाहिँ भने बाँकी नै रहेका छन् पोइन्ट जुन निकालेको छ डायमन्ड गेमिङ उनीहरूको लागि पनि केही हदसम्म प्लेसमेन्ट पोइन्ट त रहेको थियो एलिमिनेसन पोइन्ट उनीहरूले निकाल्न सकेनन् भनौँ पिएमजीसीको लिग विनर यो टिमबाट पनि त्यो एग्रेसन त हामीले पहिले पनि देखिसकेका छौँ
ओके टप 8 लाई देखाइएको थियो यहाँ फर्दर पोइन्ट्स टेबल वेट गरेको थियो बट लागिरहेको छ कि यही नै देखाइनेछ भनेर मेबी हुन्छ नि पिएमएनएसमा पनि हामीले लास्टको 3टा कि 4वटा म्याचमा त पोइन्ट्स टेबलले देखेको थिएन यहाँ त स्टार्टिङबाटै देखाएन होइन आफै क्यालकुलेट गरेर भनेको नि भाइ बट यहाँ जोक्स अपार्ट हामी म्याच अरू चाहिँ पक्कै पनि हेर्छौँ हामी अलिकता क्याजुअल पनि जाँदैछ किनभने टिम कम छ लाइक अलरेडी हाम्रो टिम चाहिँ छैन एन्ड देन भएको म्याच चाहिँ अलिकता इन्टरटेनमेन्ट तरिकाले चाहिँ जस किन त डेड सिरियस भएर भयो भने चाहिँ अलिकता मजा आउँदैन एज अ अडियन्स हेर्न पनि टोटली अल द टाइम भनौँ न सो द्याट्स अलिकता बिच बिचमा फन माहौल पनि रहन चाहिँ सक्छ पिएमडब्ल्युआई वर्ल्ड इन्भिटेसनलमा चाहिँ छौँ हामी पहिलो म्याच भ्याम्पायरले चाहिँ एउटा स्टेटमेन्ट खाले चाहिँ गेम दिएको छ एभ्री टिम उनको आँखा अगाडि जो पनि आउँछ उनीहरूलाई फिनिस गरिरहेको छ सर्कल समात्ने तरिका पनि उनीहरूको राम्रो रहेको थियो रोजकको पछाडिबाट खेलेर सो स्टार्ट पाइसक्यो अब अगाडिपट्टि धकेल्नु छ यही कुरालाई द ग्लोबल टिमहरूलाई त्यति खासै गाह्रो त पर्दैन स्पेसली एसिए टिम र चाइनिज टिमहरू किनभने एसिए टिमहरू यति धेरै इभेन्टहरू इन बिट्विन खेल्छन् यति धेरै इभेन्टहरू उनीहरूले सफल भएर खेल्छन् एसिएको टिम्सहरूको बिचमा कि उनीहरूसँग एभ्री कुराको एन्सर हुन्छ एन्ड देन त्यही कुराको एउटा सानो डेमोन्स्ट्रेसन मात्रै भन्दा पनि हुन्छ यहाँ त
डेमोन्स्ट्रेसनले नै फेरि अरू टिमलाई तर्साउने जस्तो पनि रहेको छ भनौँ न हामीसँग जम्मा 18 टोटल म्याचेस भनेर चाहिँ हामीले त्यो कुरा पनि आइडिया पाइसकेका छौँ तर यो स्टार्टिङलाई यदि आजको दिनमा कन्टिन्युसली लैजान सक्यो भने त भोलिको दिनमा त उनीहरूलाई पनि सजिलो रहन सक्छ हामीले 18 म्याचेसको फाइनल रिसेन्टली हाम्रो इभेन्टमा पनि देख्न त पाइएको थियो तर यहाँ त डिफ्रेन्ट टेस्ट र डिफ्रेन्ट फ्लेभर रहेको छ भनेपछि एउटा म्याचले धेरै डिफ्रेन्सिएट पो बनाउँछ कि मेबी त्यो एक्सपेक्टेसन राख्दा कस्तो होला
सही हो फर्स्ट म्याचमा यत्रो पोइन्ट्सको लिड भइसकेपछि तपाईँ अलिकता कम्फर्टेबली चाहिँ खेल्न सक्नुहुन्छ त्यही नै हो सबसे मेजर कुरा मेरो हिसाबले अब यत्रो पोइन्ट्स आयो भ्याम्पायरको टिमको थ्रुबाट त ओके यो लबीमा यत्रो पोइन्टसँग यत्रो फिनिससँग चाहिँ म्याच आयो भनेपछि उनीहरू डबल ह्याप्पी रहनेछ अनि यो कुराले अलिकता भए पनि बुझ दिन्छ अब ल्यान्ड खेलिरहेको टिम भनेर पनि भन्नु पऱ्यो किनभने एसिएमा त यो कुरा अलिकता नर्मल पनि रहने गर्छ लास्ट प्लेयर आई थिङ्क जोनले गर्दा फिनिस भएको थिए त्यही भएर चाहिँ फिनिस पोइन्ट्स नआएको रहेछ नो आइडिया मलाई त लागेको थियो आउनु पर्ने 23 अलरेडी देखेको थियो एउटा प्लेयर नक थियो एन्ड देन एउटा प्लेयर चाहिँ भनौँ न सर्ट दिएको थियो त्यो हिसाबले चाहिँ मैले 25 एज्युम गरेको थिएँ बट नेभर द लेस 1 पोइन्ट्सको मात्रै डिफ्रेन्स हो हामी ल्यान्डको भेन्यू पनि देख्दैछौँ वरिपरि क्यामेरा ल्यान्ड भनेपछि क्यामेरा भनौँ न जित्ने टिममाथि 4-5वटा आउँछ सर र त्यो पनि मजा आउँछ सो अल टुगेदर स्टार्ट राम्रो भएको छ टिमको लागि पनि हाम्रो लागि पनि भाइबलाई स्टार्ट भएको छ अडियन्सको लागि पनि प्रोडक्सन टिम ल्यान्ड भन्ने चाहिँ फिल भएको छ अब कुरा आउँछ कसरी अगाडि बढ्छ टुर्नामेन्ट अब अरू टिमको अप्रोच कसरी हुन्छ किनभने सोलको लागि पहिलो लबी थियो पोइन्ट्स ठिकठाक आयो बट उनीहरू आफ्नो जुन एक्चुअल गेम थियो त्यसको त आसपास पनि थिएन
भनौँ न उनीहरूलाई रोजकको त्यो स्पट समातेर बस्नु एक हिसाबले कहीँ न कहीँ फाइदा पनि रहेको थियो तर स्टार्बर्टको इन्ट्रीले गर्दाखेरि थोरै डिसएडभान्टेजमा पनि बन्न पुगेको थियो त्यसपछि जो प्लेयर अलिकति छुटेर आएका थिए पारिपट्टिको घर समातेर बसेका थिए उनले नै यहाँ टिमलाई चाहिँ पोइन्ट्स दिलाइदिएका हुन् नभए टिमले अर्ली एलिमिनेसन काइन्ड अफ फेस गरिसकेको थियो जब स्टार्बर्टसँगको क्लास बन्न पुगेको थियो हुन त त्यति पोइन्ट्सले गर्दाखेरि पनि केही हदसम्म बेटर ऱ्याङ्किङ टिमले पो बनाउन सक्छन् कि धेरैको कन्सर्नको कुरा के रहेको छ भन्दाखेरि टिम सोलको पोजिसन कतिमा चाहिँ एन्ड हुन्छ त दे नो द्याट कि अब कम्पिटिसन दिनको लागि टिम सोल जाँदैन भन्ने कुरा उनीहरूले बुझेका पनि छन् तर आफूलाई कतिको पोजिसनमा सेक्योर गरेर देखाउन सक्ने क्षमता बनाए त टिमले भन्ने कुराको एक्सपेक्टेसन राख्ने टिमहरूलाई चाहिँ कहीँ न कहीँ फाइदा हुन सक्छ यदि यही एभरेजमा टिम चल्छ भने पनि
with it. You've got Stalwart coming in from that right-hand side, and then also Donuts being in the position. Yeah, very, very impressive by them.
Okay, well, we can see some of our highlights here as well. If you guys want to walk through anything in particular, to be fair, I would hate to be an observer right now because of how much action was happening, especially towards like the middle stages of the game. But we can see here, I mean, TJB, Again, a team that we've seen quite extensively when it comes to Western Europe, right? We saw them initially when they're known as Panda, the Unicorns of Love, then TJB. A team who does decently well when it comes to PMPL, but when they move into regionals, they seem to struggle.
It was like there was a bit of a conveyor belt for TJB to get some eliminations here in this game. Given the circle and where it shifted north of that river position, TJB had that 2-2 split already in place to greet anybody coming their way. So some nice eliminations for them to start off the tournament.
We've seen right now the perfect breach coming out from Vampire here, just pushing right onto Donuts. And actually, I would say Vampire, in terms of being opportunistic, were 10 out of 10. They waited for Donuts to regroup as a full squad away from their 2-2 split. They see that